Okay, so today we're going to be doing a little leg workout. Now, legs is one of those body parts which, when I first started training, I didn't train. So, yeah, don't be too critical down in the comment section. But over the last, like, I'd say 2 years, it's been a very big focus for me to bring up my legs. Which has kind of set myself back a couple of times with knee injuries and stuff, but yeah, it's one of those things which, oh, also, if you're vlogging or on your phone, on Instagram stories, and you're down here, just embrace it, man. You're gonna look like a knob anyway, so just get it up there, get the sick angles, bro. Anyway, yeah, so I've had a couple of knee injuries, mainly on my left side, which is either just from bad form or from me pushing a little bit too, not hard, but just probably pushing too hard with bad form. I don't think if you push hard with good form, you won't end up with injuries as long as you're doing everything correctly beforehand, like with warming up and things like that as well. So yeah, I'm gonna take the pre. I got a L-arginine as well. I don't normally take any pump formulas or anything like that on leg day, because I find if you do have a pump, it kind of just limits your range of movement, especially on like squats and things. If your hamstrings have got a filthy pump in them and you're trying to get down nice and low, and also training calves with a pump, that's another thing you're gonna have to be kind with me on, is my calves. So let's get to it. What's going on, guys? Okay, so I'm quite happy with this workout, to be honest. Today's date is the 31st of May. I recorded this on the 28th of May, I think. But today I watched Jeff Nippard's Legs Science Explained video, and he had a similar setup to myself here, so I'm pretty happy. The leg warm-ups are pretty standard among most people. Lateral and then front to back, whatever you call that one, I cannot remember. But I always start off with some very light squats, just work my way up to my working weights. This is my working weight here. As I said before, squats are a weak exercise for myself, which I've been working on for a while, but yeah, we're still working on it. Okay, we're still working on it. I know a lot of people are going to be saying I'm not going deep enough. I struggle quite a lot to go deeper than this at the moment. I don't wear squat shoes. If I did, I probably would be able to go deeper, but that's kind of like my limit on depth. Before like butt wink and lower back issues come up. So yeah, you may hate on my form, but I'm doing my best. Okay, I'm working on it. I think a lot of people tend to say that it can be to do with calf and like hamstring flexibility. So I'm working on those things as well. Foam rolling and just stretching those at the moment. So yeah, it's a work in progress, we'll say that. As my lower body goes, obviously we're lacking tremendously in the calf department. My hamstrings are lacking as well, although I never really see them, but I can see when I squat down that the hamstring drop, as they call it, is not really there at all. So yeah, hamstrings are getting pounded on my lower body B days, where I do deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, good mornings as my like compounds, not good mornings, hip thrusters as my compound exercises. I do have to say, with these squats, one thing that did help me progress my weight recently is a lever belt. I haven't really utilised my lever belt too much on squats. I haven't really used it much at all. During prep it just didn't fit me, and it was the smallest that it could go, so it was pretty pointless. But I found wearing a hoodie and t-shirts underneath, I'm able to get a good amount of use from it. Now this is a setup for a leg press, which you can use on a Smith machine. Obviously this gym is very limited, so I just making do with what I have. People can make excuses all day long, but unless you put some action behind those excuses, I don't want to hear it. So leg press on the Smith machine is one way you can get around having a second compound exercise. I find I'm quite a lot stronger on this setup than a hack squat or a hack leg press type setup. But I rarely use those machines, as I don't really have that availability too often. If I do travel, then I do get to use some leg press, but I'm not really sure the carryover of the leg press, like how it carries over to like angled leg press machines and things like that. Obviously we have lunges, the death of all people. My lunges have been coming on quite well. Obviously working up to 34 for 20 in this. I'm doing 3 sets of everything except for 4 sets on leg press, 12 reps, 3 sets of 20 on walking lunges, 3 sets of 8, I think, on squats. That was. Now these are the bear grips, which I go on and on about, but they are just massively helpful for everything. Especially lunges. Like, your forearms give out before your legs on lunges a lot of the time. This is a cheeky calf exercise which I saw by someone on Instagram, so I thought I'd put it into my sort of like superset with lunges, because I just need more calves, so why not just add it in there? Why not when you're catching your breath from lunges? But yeah, bear grips, especially like on a pull day, really helpful. But doing like deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts on lunges, like just having that extra grip is going to allow you just to be able to push the weights up higher without having to sacrifice not being able to increase your loads because of your forearms. So those will be linked in the description, and they also do a lever belt, which is the one I was using as well. This is just a really bad angle of them calf raises, but it just looks like I'm teabagging someone, so yeah, I was going to take that out. I don't know why I didn't take it out, but that's the calf raise. As I said, my glutes are definitely the most developed part of my lower body. And of course we're logging it all. If you're not logging your workouts, what are you doing? Get back on that. Intra workout today is same as last video. The 1 scoop of my protein BCAAs, basically water flavouring, some Gatorade, some beta alanine. That's it. Lots of water. Stay hydrated in your workouts, especially now it's like summer. One thing I do, which I don't think many people do, is, how many times can you say do in a sentence, is putting a bodyweight exercise of that exercise before I start adding weight, just to get the form. Maybe a tiny amount of reps, but just to get that form first. That guy asked if I asked that guy if he wanted the bench. He said no, but then proceeded to put all the dumbbells on the bench, so I had to move the camera. Anyway, Bulgarian split squats after lunges. Seriously, this is like sadistic, just workout torture, but really good torture. So great for your quads. I feel this like a lot in my hamstrings as well. Obviously the glutes are getting a lot of engagement on this as well, and I find any sort of like compound exercise like this, if you're doing it isolaterally, if you're able to go straight into the next leg, you could probably, or you should probably just go heavier, because you're essentially doing another set. But just because your left leg's muscle isn't fatigued doesn't mean that your body shouldn't be fatigued, if you know what I mean. So if you can go straight from one into the other, you should probably just be going heavier. As you can see by my facial expressions, it's not the most comfortable exercise, but you get a lot of bang for your buck. You're hitting a lot of lower body muscles during the Bulgarian split squat. Yeah, something sadistic about that. And then if you want to just make yourself even worse, you can do a drop set like me, but don't be me, because that's stupid. Yeah, it was a silly idea. But anyway, calf raises, of course, because team no calves. Shout out to Ollie Carson. If you're not watching or listening, I should say, to their Ollie's Team No Calf Radio podcast, give that a go. These are leg extensions if you're a complete newbie, but they are for the quadriceps of your legs, and if you do them correctly, they also hurt a lot. So yeah, it's this was 3 sets of these on my working weight, and then did another set with I think it was a drop set, cluster set hybrid, which I kind of made up on the spot and wasn't actually going to do. But you know, sometimes you get into that little sort of sadistic mindset in the gym where you actually kind of want DOMs the next day, and then the next day you wake up with DOMs and you immediately regret your decision. So which did happen. So this, I believe, is the set where I did my working set, the final working set. I was looking at the time because I knew it was my final working set, so I was like, brilliant, I'm on schedule. And then I come to the end of my reps. I think it was at this point where I was like, yeah, I'd like to feel a little extra pain. So I unclip myself, lowered the weight down by I think it was 50% actually, so should be a lot easier. But you know, once you've like given it all in that working set, even if you put the weight down to like those pink dumbbells, it's it's still going to be a struggle if you've done it correctly. So then I got reps in there, and then turned it into like a drop set cluster set by taking a 10-second rest period, which is basically just 5 deep breaths, and then going straight back in again, which is brutal but effective. And if you ever heard the word metabolite work, this is pretty much it in a nutshell. So yeah, I think I did a total of 3 sets of those, which yeah, lactic acid is the middle name of this exercise, so we'll call it leg extension drop set lactic acid cluster set. There you go, that's the technical term for it. That's the end of that workout, and it was a good workout. This is my leg development to scream and shout about, but I think I'm going to have to stick to men's physique if I do a show next year, but who knows, I may just stay in an off-season game. And I'd like to think that one day I'd be able to do classic, but we can dream. We can dream. So, workout finished. A bit of a sweltering day today, unusually, again in the UK. Legs felt good. Strength was pretty okay. Still progression from last block, so pretty happy with that. Dehydration or hydration and heat never is a good thing, but I stayed hydrated. I got through like one, and I refilled it like halfway up, so I got through about 1 1/4 of those. it's important to stay hydrated, especially post-workout as well. If you want to shuttle all that nutrients to the correct areas, then you need to stay hydrated. My legs are absolutely ruined. The worst thing is going upstairs. I'll show you what my knees sound like when I go upstairs. I've actually been to the doctors and stuff about it, but they said it was fine. They were like, yeah, nothing wrong with it. I was like, how do you know? Like, surely you got to do an MRI scan to actually know what's going on in there. But yeah, it's all right. I think I could blame it on loads of things, but I think I just got shitty knees, really. A lot of people in my family have got bad joints, so I think I just got the bad knee gene. But I think with every exercise you've got to kind of look at the reward versus risk, and people talk about this all the time, but I find squats, if I do regular squats, it's okay, it's manageable. If I were to do low bar squat, for some reason that just makes it worse. Front squats are okay. I'm just not very strong in front squats, so I might change that in the future. And recently, well, I say recently, I've been running this block for about, or these exercises similarly, for about coming up to 6 blocks now. So that's, the first couple of blocks were 5 weeks long. These last 3 have been 6 weeks long, so 5 weeks of progression, and then the 6th week a deload. And I've been running deadlifts and that as well. Previously, I'd say until about 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago. Yeah, a year ago. That's the first time I've been consistently doing deadlifts. So yeah, it's been paying off quite well. Do find my lower back comes a little bit fatigued the next day, so if I do have to do things like T-bar row, it's a little bit, you know, I can feel it, it's tight, but it's not an issue. So at the moment this split's been working really well. My current split is upper, lower, chest and delts. Then I kind of just see how my body feels. If my legs are recovered, then I'll do lower. If they're not recovered, I'll do pull, then I'll do a lower, and then I'll do push. So yeah, that's you gotta just have options as well. If your recovery is not there, don't do it. The risk is going to be too high. You won't get a good session in, so the reward won't be high anyway, but then the risk is very high for injury. So just listen to your body. And scheduling deloads as well. A lot of people don't, but I find scheduling deload just massively decreases the risk of injury, and the reward as well, because you're giving yourself optimal rest. The reward is just so much better. Anyway guys, that's the end of the video. Take it easy. Lots of love. Peace.